Pano Pamzinda, Malaba's farewell blast, the man who protected the regime for 9 years, just threw it under the bus on his way out the door. Mres Babu, you know that feeling when someone quits a job and on their way, on their very last day, after years of being completely silent, after nodding along at every meeting, after covering for every terrible decision, they suddenly walk into the office, flip the table, and say everything they were thinking for the past decade. That is what just happened in Zimbabwe. Chief Justice Luke Malaba, the man who spent 9 years as Emerson Mnangagwa's most powerful legal shield, is retired. And on his way out, he looked at the nation, looked at the gold thieves, looked at the ruling elite bleeding this country dry, and said words that nobody in State House was prepared to hear. There is no right to poverty. No one should be poor in this rich country. There is gold everywhere, including under our houses. Let us share that gold. Sir, you had 9 years. 9 years, look. 9 whole years where you could have said this from the bench. 9 years where the gold was also under the houses. 9 years, look, where the people were also poor. And you chose the retirement dinner to suddenly discover economic justice. Mres Babu, pano pamzinda wevanhu. We are going to give you the full story, the legacy, the contradictions, the audacity, and the very important question that every Zimbabwean deserves answered. Is this a genuine conscience, or is this a man who just realized the ship is sinking and decided to swim to shore before it goes under completely? Let's go. Mres Babu. First, who exactly is Luke Malaba? Before we get into the farewell drama, let us establish exactly who this man is, because context is everything. Malaba's tenure as Chief Justice has been one of the most polarizing in Zimbabwe's post-independence history. He presided over a number of politically sensitive cases, including constitutional challenges arising from disputed elections, which critics say often favored the executive. Zimbabwe. Translation: this is the man who threw out Nelson Chamisa's 2018 election challenge. The man whose court said with a completely straight face that Mnangagwa won that election legitimately. The man whose rulings civil society, legal scholars, and opposition politicians described as reliably, consistently, almost athletically aligned with whatever the executive needed at any given moment. And then, as if that was not enough, his stay in office was made possible by Constitutional Amendment Number 2, which granted the president power to extend the terms of Superior Court judges. In plain English, Mnangagwa literally changed the constitution to keep his favorite judge in his seat. And Malaba, a man whose entire professional identity rests on the rule of law, accepted that extension without public objection. Zimbabwe. Kana Nelson Chamisa achiti mutemo upi uri muZimbabwe, constitution ipi iri muZimbabwe, ndo zvaanenge achireva izvo. Pano tinopinda tichiinvestigate everything, tichikupai full information muri Zimbabwe. The president extended the constitution for his judge. The judge accepted it, and together they saved Zimbabwe. This is the man who just told us to share the gold. The farewell speech, beautiful, powerful, and 9 years late. Now, let us give credit where it is due, because what Malaba actually said at his final sitting was objectively magnificent. The authority of the court does not rest on force, it rests on public confidence, reasoned decision-making, impartiality, and the visible commitment of every judicial officer to do justice according to law. Stunning, truly stunning, a masterclass in judicial philosophy. I want it on a poster. I want it read at every law school graduation in Africa. I also want to know, with genuine curiosity, where this energy was in 2018 when Chamisa was standing in your court asking you to look at the election results. Where was reasoned decision-making and impartiality on that specific afternoon, Chief Justice? Right. The burden of justice is heavy, but it is also honorable, he told the judges remaining in office. Heavy, yes, we noticed the look. We noticed it was very heavy, specifically when it landed on ordinary Zimbabweans, and very light when it touched the people with state house connections. And then the quote that was genuinely the quote that has genuinely broken the internet across Zimbabwe and the diaspora. There is no right to poverty. No one should be poor in this rich country. There is gold everywhere, including under our houses. Let us share that gold. Family. The Chief Justice of Zimbabwe, retiring, with Mnangagwa on a secret jet somewhere between Cairo and Minsk, telling Zimbabwe to share the gold. The gold that his own courts never prosecuted anyone for stealing. The gold that the Al Jazeera documentary traced through diplomatic cover operations. The gold bars that South African police found in Whitney Ochivai's brother's possession in a Johannesburg estate. That gold, share it, he says, from retirement, with his bags already pegged. Oh, crocodile tears. Zimbabwe responds with extreme prejudice. The public reaction has been, how do I put this delicately? Not forgiving. Zimbabweans on social media have delivered a unanimous, swift, and extraordinarily unified verdict on Malaba's farewell blast. Too little, too late. From someone who had all the power to act and chose not to. The critics are pointing out, correctly, that during his entire tenure, the courts rarely dragged top-tier corrupt officials to justice in any way that sent a clear message to anyone. The Jigananda, the billionaire entrepreneur network that Chiwenga himself publicly condemned, operated freely, accumulated state contracts worth billions, moved gold through private channels, and faced essentially zero meaningful judicial accountability. And now, at midnight on May 14th, 2026, as the constitutional bell tolls and Luke Malaba becomes just another private citizen, he discovers that gold should be shared. Say, with all due respect, the gold was also under the houses in 2019 and in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Ranga chingo wapo padaza. What changed between then and now? Mnangagwa is in Belarus on a secret jet. Cape 3 is being challenged in the Constitutional Court. The institutional walls are crumbling, and Luke Malaba is walking out the door into private life, where he will no longer have state protection, state vehicles, state resources, or any of the institutional privileges that came with being the president's most reliable judicial ally. Funny how the conscience activates right at the exact moment the protection expires. The Damascus Road, or the exit strategy. Now, let us be analytical for a moment, because we do not just entertain, we explain. There are two possible interpretations of what Malaba did at the farewell dinner, and they are not mutually exclusive. Interpretation 1. Genuine conscience. A man who spent decades in the judiciary, who watched corruption corrode his country from the inside, who made compromises he is not proud of, and who decided that his last public act would be the honest one. That in retirement, stripped of institutional pressure, he would finally say what he actually believed. Interpretation 2, Zimbabwe. Calculated distance. A man who can read a political room better than almost anyone in Zimbabwe, who sees that the Mnangagwa administration is fracturing, that Cape 3 is legally embattled, that Chiwenga is positioned, that the institutional alliance is collapsing, and who has decided with loyally precision to publicly distance himself from a sinking ship before it drags him down with it. Malaba himself said the judicial office is not an office that belongs to the individual who occupies it. It belongs to the constitutional order and to the people in whose name judicial authority is exercised. Ndiye chitauro. Beautiful words. But if the office belongs to the people, then every year that office was used to shield the executive from accountability, it was being stolen from the people. And Malaba was the custodian who let it happen. Either way, conscience or calculation, the effect is the same. The man who was Mnangagwa's most important judicial pillar has walked away, dropping truth bombs, and the administration has lost its most credible legal cover at the worst possible moment. The bottom line, Zimbabwe, when the allies start talking, here's what the Malaba Pharaoh tells you about the state of Zimbabwe's political establishment right now. When the people who benefited most from a system start publicly criticizing that system, not in whispers, not anonymously, but in valedictory speeches at formal constitutional court sittings attended by regional chief justice, the system is in serious trouble. Luminaries from across the region attended the gathering. Namibia's Chief Justice Peter Shivute, Malawi's Chief Justice Rizin Mzikamanda, COMESA Chief Executive Dr. Willard Mwemba, and a Zambian judicial delegation, regional judges, sitting in that room, watching Zimbabwe's outgoing Chief Justice tell his country to share the gold while the president is in Belarus and the constitution is before the courts. The region heard every word. The judges heard every word. The military generals heard every word. And Harare, rattled, fractured, leaderless for the weak, he heard every word. Look, Malaba is gone. He will spend his retirement reading and ranching far from the madding crowd of constitutional crisis. Out in the countryside, on a farm, quietly. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe, the country whose gold he just remembered should be shared, is still here, still fighting, still waiting for the Constitutional Court ruling on May 20th, still watching the parliament calendar tick toward June 2nd, still demanding accountability from a system that spent 9 years being told by the man who just retired that impartiality and the rule of law were its highest values. Pano pa mzinda wevanhu, we will keep saying it until it actually becomes true. Subscribe, Zimbabwe's most unapologetically bold voice. Right, Zimbabwe, where Malaba's final words genuine conscience or political self-preservation? Drop your most honest take in the comments, smash the like button, share this everywhere, and support independent journalism through join and become a member and super thanks or stars on Facebook. Zimbabwe's gold belongs to its people. And so does this conversation. Peace.